Coming up on Citrus TV News, it's the beginning of Black History Month, what the university is doing to prepare for the month-long celebration of African American culture.
And Super Bowl 53 kickoff is just 2 days away. Citrus TV is in Atlanta as the waiting for the biggest game in America is almost over.
And the United States saw a sharp uptick in job growth for the month of January. Citrus TV correspondent Brandon Ross will join us with more. This is Citrus TV News, live at 6.
Now, Citrus TV News live at 6 starts with breaking news.
Today is the first day of Black History Month. Good evening, I'm Jack Watson.
And I'm Elijah Shama. The SU Multicultural Affairs Office kicks off the celebration with its opening reception this month. The MCA has 18 community events planned.
From 3-on-3 basketball to historical lectures, the events are meant to honor and remember African American history. Coordinator of Student Engagement Cedric Bolton says it's important to embrace each other and respect one another.
You know, it's really amazing that we have these collaborations and partnerships with other campus departments, you know, student groups, in order to bring out more interest. And we just want to be able to put it all together and so that we all learn about each other.
And new at 6, take a look at this video here. This is the Park Point Apartments on Comstock Ave. Earlier this afternoon, a pipe burst in the lobby of the building. The floors were quickly flooded and the fire alarms went off, forcing students living inside out into the cold. The fire department responded to the incident and could be seen mopping up the water. Doesn't look fun at all. The National Honor Society in Neuroscience is awarding a chapter to Syracuse University. The chapter, known as New York Delta, has over 80 chapters and 5,100 members. The Syracuse chapter will be the 4th in the state and is currently accepting membership applications. The chapter is open to both undergraduate and graduate students studying neuroscience.
Today marks the first day of Syracuse University's Sexual Health Awareness Month. The university will host several events throughout the month about sexual health topics. Events include multiple lectures and dialogue series and a student production of the Vagina Monologues on 2 days in mid-February. This is the 3rd straight year SU has promoted the month-long initiative. Now, you might be wondering why both of us are wearing these red ties. And no, we aren't just matching for the sake of it. Today is the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women Day. People are encouraged to wear red to help support research in ending heart disease in women. And the Syracuse campus is going red for the campaign. Hendricks Chapel, the Hall of Languages, and the Nancy Cantor Warehouse will be lit by red lights until Sunday. And, you know, freezing cold the past couple of days. This polar vortex has been absolutely killing us, but, you know, it's good news maybe on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for some good news, and Carmella Boykin, our weather anchor, is going to tell us if that hope is misplaced or not.
That's right, guys. There definitely is hope on the horizon, thank goodness. As we saw throughout the week with the Arctic cool air, there was as low as negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit wind chills, but thankfully all of that cold air is going to make its way out and we'll start to see that impact here in Syracuse as well. But not just yet. Currently our temperature is resting at 11 degrees here in Syracuse. Feels like 5 degrees, but the bright side is we have some clear skies. Moving into tonight, we're going to hit the low of a singular digit. It feels like negative 8 degrees tonight, though, and we're also going to see some rolling in of clouds as well. The benefit of that is it also means we're going to see some warm air coming in. As we move into tomorrow, around 9 a.m., we're going to hit 16 degrees, a bit warmer than we've been seeing, and by the end of the day at 6 p.m., we'll be at 33 degrees. We're also going to have overcast skies throughout the day and a few flurries in the morning, but nothing too intense. Just be aware of a few slick patches. But will the temperatures continue to warm up? Find out in my full 5-day weather forecast after the break. Back to you guys.
All right, Carmella, freezing. Thank you very much. The latest from Syracuse. Mayor Walsh and County Executive Ryan McMahon opened themselves up to questions at an event last night in downtown Syracuse. Citrus TV reporter Ricky Sayer has how the issue they disagreed on could impact your daily commute.
Jack, Mayor Walsh and County Executive McMahon discussed a wide variety of issues last night, and they found common ground on most things.
Previously working in the economic development.
Mayor Walsh and County Executive Ryan McMahon coming together last night to take questions from the community and sign a new sales tax sharing agreement.
This is a really significant accomplishment that I'm very proud of.
The event took place here at National Grid's historic downtown Syracuse headquarters. But tonight's event made some history on its own. It was the first time that County Executive McMahon and Mayor Walsh stood side by side taking questions from the community.
This was somewhat unique. I felt kind of like I was back on the campaign trail debating, except the person next to me was, was my partner and wasn't trying to get the same job I was.
I think the message is we're working together. We're on the same page. We're on the same team.
And that's how most of the evening went. The mayor and county executive in lockstep on key issues like ideas on how to lower poverty.
Educational attainment, like housing stability or economic opportunity, education, housing, health, workforce.
One issue they disagree on, the future of I-81 through Syracuse. The mayor made his position clear. While he hears those who oppose it, he is an advocate for the community grid option.
I like half of the mayor's answer. I do believe the city should have a grid. I do believe that a tunnel, if done correctly underneath it, keeping the north-south traffic is the right approach. Even with a tunnel, it still presents a significant barrier in the community, and again, one of the many reasons why I support the community grid.
We also asked both McMahon and Walsh about Pete Davidson's recent negative comments about the city. That situation escalated this week when Onondaga County DA William Fitzpatrick said he wanted Manly's police to reopen an investigation into a traffic stop Davidson was involved in. Here's what McMahon had to say about Davidson.
Yeah, I think look at Pete Davidson filmed a great movie in Central New York. It's got great reviews. Maybe he'll invite some of his friends Saturday Night Live to apologize. He's been doing that a lot lately.
Mayor Walsh did not comment on the situation. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ricky. A former African-American temp worker will receive $250,000 from a discrimination lawsuit. Onondaga County legislators will vote next week on the settlement with Sean Hamilton, who said he was racially abused at the Department of Transportation's Camillus Garage. Hamilton first filed his complaint in 2014. SUNY Oswego police officers will begin wearing body cameras today. The university hopes having visible cameras on personnel will reduce the number of conflicts the SUNY police will log footage of encounters daily. SUNY Oswego is the 7th SUNY school to have officers wear body cameras.
And the ban on tractor trailers and buses in western New York is over. The ban was placed Tuesday night on I-90, I-190, and I-290 after state police said conditions were unsafe. Governor Andrew Cuomo continued to urge drivers to stay off the roads as temperatures remain low. And recreational marijuana is getting closer to legalization in New York, but the State Mental Health Association warns about potential dangers. The organization says concerns over addiction and mental development should be taken into account. The association recommends tobacco-style warning labels and extended public outreach.
Coming up, the U.S. suspends a Cold War-era nuclear treaty. Why the U.S. froze the deal.
And sources say the U.S. and North Korea agreed on a location for the second summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, where the two could be meeting next.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the Citrus TV Newsroom, 315-443-1177, or tweet at Citrus TV News, your campus news leader.
The job reports for the month of January was released this morning.
Citrus TV analyst Brandon Ross joins us in studio to break it down. Brandon?
Yeah, Jack, the job numbers from last month are in, and the U.S. economy added over 300,000 jobs in January. And that's up about 90,000 from last month, and that's the largest month-to-month increase in almost 9 years. The small uptick in unemployment is largely being attributed to the government shutdown, and the average hourly wage also went up 3 cents. The January job totals were over 140,000 more than the government had estimated.
Now, Brandon, those numbers sound good, but inflation can always put a damper on them. What can you tell us about the inflation right now?
Well, the inflation is actually pretty slow growing right now. It's actually pretty stable, and as the Fed released last week in their policy brief, they're actually not planning to raise interest rates for a little bit, and that's a large departure after doing a lot of interest rate hikes in this over the course of the past year.
And Brandon, it's only February 2019 right now, but people are already starting to key in on Election Day 2020. Do these numbers give the president a boost?
Well, President Trump is benefiting from the good economy, but the polling numbers aren't really going in his favor right now. He's still only sitting at about a 40% approval rating, at about the average of anyone you may take on any given week. And that's definitely a very weak polling average for a president with this strong of an economy. So we'll have to see how it plans out, but I don't think it's giving him too much of a benefit.
All right, thanks, Brandon. A Cold War-era nuclear deal between the United States and Russia is being suspended.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo attributes the suspension of the deal to what he calls years of violations by Russia. Pompeo also says the U.S. has followed the deal for the past 30 years.
NATO says it supports the U.S. suspending the deal. They're telling Russia to return to complying with the nuclear deal in the next 6 months.
Russia has jeopardized the United States' security interest, and we can no longer be restricted by the treaty while Russia shamelessly violates it. If Russia does not return to full and verifiable compliance with the treaty within this 6-month period, by verifiably destroying its INF-violating missiles, their launchers, and associated equipment, the treaty will terminate.
Looking to 2020 now, as Senator Cory Booker is throwing his hat in to seek the Democratic nomination for president.
The junior New Jersey senator released a video today that announced his candidacy. He served as a senator since 2013 and was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey for 7 years before becoming a senator.
Now, the 49-year-old Booker did not announce any specific policy positions in the video, and he says he's not accepting money from interest groups.
Now, today marks the first day the Boy Scouts of America will accept girls.
The organization will now be known as Scouts BSA. Now, Girl Scouts USA sued them in November because of the name change, arguing the name is a covert attempt to recruit girls, which would hurt the Girl Scouts.
According to NPR, over 77,000 girls joined the Cub Scouts, which they could remain in for about a year. Now, older girls can join the organization.
And the latest from Mexico now as an earthquake rocks the southern Mexican state of Chiapas.
The 6.6 magnitude quake hit a few miles away from the city of Tapachula. The earthquake reportedly caused buildings to move and was noticed in the neighboring countries of Guatemala and El Salvador.
As of now, there are no reports of injuries or deaths.
Now, sources say that Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will meet in Vietnam later this month for their second summit.
Now, the topics of conversation for the summit are not yet known for the president and the North Korean supreme leader, but last year Kim said he was committed to the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula.
But U.S. Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats said earlier this week that North Korea is, quote, unlikely to give up its nuclear weapons.
And while North America is being slammed by a record-setting polar vortex, Australia endures a blistering heat wave.
A CNN report shows that thousands of fish died when the heat arrived. In some places, that heat got up to 116 degrees Fahrenheit.
Authorities encouraged Australians to stay inside during the day's hottest point.
And coming up after the break, Vice Media lays off about a tenth of its workers. We'll tell you why the job cuts came.
And what pop star Beyonce is asking her fans to do to get free tickets to her shows on the other side of the break.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
From the Citrus TV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News. If you take a look at the current temperatures across the state, things are chilly, but not as chilly as we've seen. Syracuse is at 12 degrees, Cortland's the coolest at 7 degrees, and Rochester and Elmira are both the warmest at 13 and 13 respectively. Moving into tonight, we're going to hit a low of a singular digit. It's going to feel like -8 degrees, and clouds are going to roll in as well. And this actually has an added benefit because tomorrow we're going to see a high of around 35 degrees. We'll have a few morning flurries, but nothing too extreme. Just beware of slick patches, and it'll add to the ambiance of the Syracuse vibe, and it'll also be cloudy throughout the rest of the day. We're also going to see these temps warming up throughout the rest of the week. Sunday, we're going to hit a high of 40. Monday, we're going to be almost at 50 degrees with a high of 48. We'll cool back down a little bit on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, we'll be back to somewhat normal Syracuse temperatures with a high of 37 and a low of 33. And now that the Arctic blast has passed in the Midwest, all eyes are on California, where a Pacific storm is brewing. This weekend, the Golden State is expecting hurricane-strength winds, heavy rains, and rapid flash floods. Burned areas from the wildfire are already under mandatory evacuation as they have the highest flash flood risk.
All right, Carmella, thank you. New details from Apple. The tech giant is apologizing today for a massive FaceTime bug that allowed others to eavesdrop on calls. News about the bug went viral this past week when users discovered they could still see group FaceTime calls, even if they never picked up group FaceTime. Those group FaceTime calls have since been temporarily disabled, and Apple says their engineering team is working to fix the issue. And Vice Media is laying off 10% of its workforce. Now, that's according to Vice CEO Nancy Dubuque in a memo to Vice staff earlier today. About 250 workers at Vice will be laid off. Now, the layoffs come during a current trend of digital media layoffs. Currently, BuzzFeed is also laying off staff writers, and the Huffington Post did the same last week.
And pop singer Beyonce is offering fans free tickets to her and Jay-Z's concerts, but only if they decide to go vegan. Beyonce shared the news on her Instagram while promoting the Green Print Project. According to the contest rules, one winner will be selected on May 22nd and will receive annual tickets to every Beyonce and Jay-Z concert for the next 30 years.
And coming up, Syracuse men's basketball is down in Pittsburgh for a rematch with the Panthers. Plus, I catch up with Jonah Karp from Atlanta when Citrus TV News Live at 6 returns.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
Welcome back. I'm Nicole Weaving with sports. For the second time in 2 weeks, Syracuse and Pittsburgh will square off, this time outside the Carrier Dome. The Orange righted the ship after their egregious loss to Virginia Tech by beating Boston College in Chestnut Hill on Wednesday. Now Boeheim's bunch is headed down to Pittsburgh, and the Panthers are looking for revenge. Syracuse topped Pittsburgh 74-63 almost 2 weeks ago as the Orange were on fire from downtown. The 'Cuse tied a season high with 12 three-pointers. Buddy Boeheim led the way, nailing 4. Tyus Battle, O'Shea Brissett, and Frank Howard also scored in double digits in the victory. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, will need more than 19 points out of their leading scorer Xavier Johnson if they want to avenge its loss this time around. The Panthers are looking to break a 4-game skid in this matchup tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And we're just 2 days away from Super Bowl 53 down in Atlanta. Tom Brady is playing in his 9th Super Bowl, hoping to lead the Patriots to their 6th Lombardi trophy. But New England will need to take down newcomer Jared Goff and the Rams before earning another ring. Los Angeles scored a game-winning field goal in overtime of the NFC Championship, punching their ticket to the Super Bowl. But before the big day happens, the NFL has been hosting the Super Bowl Experience and other events this past week. Citrus TV's Jonah Karp is currently in Atlanta. And Jonah, I heard that you have had some fun today.
Hey Nicole, I'm here at the NFL Experience at the Georgia World Congress Center. This is where fans have had the opportunity to participate in combine-like events all week long. And considering their last day here in Atlanta, Drew Jackson and I decided, you know what, let's give it a shot to see which one of us has what it takes to be an NFL player. Wow, she's over here trash talking. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Right now.
Now, not necessarily up to NFL standards there, but thanks, Jonah, and thanks to your whole team for coverage from Atlanta this week. And guys, some other news today. The Bulls have waived Carmelo Anthony, that beloved SU alum, really not feeling the love from those NBA teams, excuse me.
Potentially one of the most successful Syracuse basketball alums. Yeah. What's next for him?
So right now, assuming that he clears waivers, he'll become a free agent. And now, according to ESPN reporter Adrian Wojnarowski, doesn't expect to see much from any teams picking him up before the trade deadline, but he said the Lakers could be the next destination.
Now, Nicole, biggest sports story, we got to talk about the Super Bowl. I got to get your prediction. Who do you think is going to win this thing? Is it going to be Tom Brady or is it going to be the Rams?
I hate to say this because I am so anti-Patriots, but I really do think that Tom Brady is going to pull it off. I don't expect that the Rams can really get through it in the end. I mean, we saw them come back and they had a very solid season, but I think that Tom Brady will just end up being too much.
All right, well, back here on the Hill, Syracuse playing Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Now, who do you have in that game?
I'm going to also take Syracuse in this one. They beat them the first time around this season, and shooting was their strength in that win. And I think that is going to prove to be the same. We saw them most recently beat up on Boston College because of that shooting. They were really strong from three-point land, and I imagine that it will be the exact same against this Pittsburgh Panthers team.
All right, our sports reporter, Nicole Weaving. Nicole, thank you. Coming up, Carmella Boykin returns with one last look at your weekend forecast.
Don't go away.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame.
I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News. As you wake up tomorrow, things are going to be a bit warmer than we saw throughout the past week. We're going to have 31 degrees around 9 a.m., so that'll be good if you have a commute you have to go to. We're also going to see a few flurries, so that'll give you a bit of ambiance as you make your way to wherever you need to go. And it's also going to be overcast throughout the rest of the day. Now, if you take a look at our 3-day forecast, what you can expect for the weekend, things are going to gradually warm up, which will be pretty nice. Tomorrow, we're going to hit a high of 35. Sunday, we're going to hit 40. And then Monday, we're going to have peaks of sun and get really close to 50 degrees, which would be super nice. Maybe you can bust out some shorts if you've been waiting for that. You can at least unzip your jacket and get some of that breeze flowing.
All right, Carmella, so tomorrow is Groundhog Day, and I gotta know, is Puxatawny Phil gonna see a shadow, or is this ambiance gonna stick around?
I mean, I really hope so. Looking at the forecast in Pennsylvania, it's gonna be mostly cloudy, so hopefully they'll be able to get a little bit of sun. He'll see his shadow, because this cold weather is really hard for us out here, you know?
It's a little rough.
Now, Carmella, the number 48 degrees was just on the screen, but to me, all I saw was the word shorts. When am I gonna have to put those shorts away after Monday?
We're not really, to be honest, we're not really sure. I would keep them on reserve, as we like to say. You know, you can kind of determine the day of. That way, if you feel like it, you can whip them out, and then you can just pack them away when you're ready.
All right, Carmella, our weather anchor, thank you so much. Now, this weekend is the Super Bowl, but for those of us not rooting for the Patriots or the Rams, we can root for everyone at this Puppy Bowl in Denver.
Travelers going through the Denver International Airport got to witness the airport's 4th annual Puppy Bowl. The airport staff set up a football-inspired puppy pen and let travelers pet and play with the puppies while waiting for their flights. And it is just the most adorable thing that I've ever seen. I hope all of those puppies got adopted and got loving homes, because they're all good boys.
Absolutely adorable. What do you think of these star football players, Carmella?
I think they're fantastic. I think that's a perfect way to celebrate the Super Bowl, and they just remind me of my dogs back at home, you know. I think maybe they'd be even cute with like little outfits on, you know, right? If they have like the different jerseys and stuff.
Like a little football helmet too?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think we're on to something. The next time. And that's all the time we have for Live at 6 tonight. Make sure to follow Citrus TV News on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Elijah Shama.
And I'm Jack Watson. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night, Syracuse.